The link between not being heard and anger. At its core, every person has a fundamental need to be understood, valued, and acknowledged. When we feel that our thoughts, feelings, needs, or experiences are repeatedly ignored, frustration begins to build. The process often looks like this: I have a need, feeling, or concern. I try to express it. I feel ignored, dismissed, interrupted, criticized, or misunderstood. I experience hurt, disappointment, sadness, or powerlessness. These feelings transform into anger. Anger becomes the body's way of saying something important to me is not being recognized. Why anger feels stronger than hurt? Many people, especially men, find it easier to express anger than vulnerability. It can feel safer to say, I'm sick of this, nobody listens to me, I've had enough, than to say, I feel rejected, I feel invisible, I feel unimportant, I feel alone. Anger often acts as a protective shield over more painful emotions. What happens in relationships, and a common cycle looks like this: your partner doesn't feel heard, feels hurt and frustrated, expresses frustration as anger, then you become defensive. Listening stops, then you become even less hurt. Anger increases, and the original issue was not anger, it was the need to be heard and understood. The psychological impact of not being heard: when people repeatedly feel unheard, they may begin to believe that your opinions don't matter. Nobody cares what I think, or I have to fight to be noticed. The only way people listen is when I get angry. Over time, anger can become a learned communication strategy because it seems to be the only thing that gets attention. What people really need underneath the anger, and what people often want, is validation, understanding, respect, acknowledgement, and connection. Notice that none of these are actually about winning an argument. They are about feeling seen. When someone is angry, instead of asking, why are they so angry? Try asking, what do they feel isn't being heard? That question often uncovers the real issue. How you can explain this, you might say, anger is often the voice of an unheard part of ourselves. When we don't feel listened to, respected, or understood, frustration builds. Underneath the anger is usually a deeper message. I matter and I need someone to hear me. Learning to identify that message is one of the keys to using anger constructively rather than destructively. Being unheard, hurt, frustrated equals anger. When men learn to identify the unheard hurt beneath the anger, they often gain far more control over their reactions and are able to communicate their needs more effectively. The first thing to understand is that overcoming the feeling of not being heard is not about forcing other people to listen. It is about learning how to communicate effectively, regulate emotions, and maintain self worth even when others don't respond as we hope. Identify what you want to be heard about. Many people know they are angry, but they cannot clearly identify what message is underneath the anger. What am I trying to communicate? What need is not being met? What do I want the other person to understand? Often the real message is I need support, I need respect, I need appreciation, I need reassurance. The clearer the message, the easier it is to communicate. Speak before the pressure builds. When people stay silent for weeks or months, resentment accumulates. Instead of waiting until anger explodes, address concerns early. Have smaller conversations more often. Express feelings before they become frustration. And a useful phrase is, I'd like to talk about something that's been bothering me before it becomes a bigger issue. Use I statements. People tend to listen more when they don't feel attacked. Instead of, you never listen to me, try, I feel unheard when I'm interrupted. I feel frustrated when my concerns aren't acknowledged. This reduces defensiveness and increases understanding. Learn to listen first. One of the fastest ways to be heard is to help others feel heard. When people feel understood, they are more willing to listen in return. Try saying, help me understand your perspective. What are you hearing me say? This creates connection rather than conflict. Ask for reflection. A powerful communication tool is to ask someone to repeat what they heard. Can you tell me what you heard me say so I know I explained it clearly? This reveals misunderstandings immediately. Separate being heard from getting your own way. This is a common mistake. If they don't agree with me, they didn't hear me. Someone can hear and understand you while still having a different opinion. The goal is understanding, not necessarily agreement. Develop emotional regulation. When your emotions become intense, people often stop listening. But before conversations, take a slow breath. Go for a walk, journal your thoughts, pray or meditate, and reflect on what outcome you want. A calm message is usually heard more clearly than an angry one. Build internal validation. Sometimes the deepest healing comes from recognizing that your worth does not depend on others validating you. Ask yourself, do I believe my thoughts matter? Do I respect my own feelings? Can I acknowledge my own experience even if others don't? The more secure people become eternally, the less dependent they are on external validation. Choose the right people. Not everyone is capable of listening well. Some people interrupt constantly, become defensive, dismiss feelings, and avoid difficult conversations. Part of emotional maturity is recognizing who you can genuinely hear you and investing more energy in those relationships. Turn anger into curiosity. When you feel anger rising, ask, what is it that I need someone to hear right now? That question often shifts a person from reacting to reflecting. Now, notice, name, need, and navigate. Notice the anger. Name what you're feeling underneath it. Need identify what needs to be heard and navigate. Communicate it calmly and clearly. For many men, anger begins to lose its power when they realize it is often carrying a message such as I want to be understood. I want to matter. I want to feel respected. I want to know that my voice counts.